welcome back to Ian Reviews Sports. My name is Ian McNaughton. This is Speak Your Piece. Thank you very much for watching. What I'm reviewing tonight is the 2021 PGA Championship when Phil Mickelson won his second PGA Championship. He won his first one in 2005. He's the oldest major champion of all time. He's 50 years old. It was an all-around great weekend, I thought, for Phil, the PGA, South Carolina, where the tournament was held. Golf in general, I thought, did really well. So let's go through all those different elements. I'm going to start with Phil and Phil Mickelson because it's his tournament. He just won. I thought that Phil played great all weekend. I'm not going to lie. When I saw his name on top of the leaderboard on Thursday, I was like, okay, this is a nice story. This is cool. Phil's doing his best. He's had a really good round. I don't know if it'll carry through the weekend, but hey, at least he's winning, on Thursday. He's got the first round on everyone. And then he was leading on Friday. Then he was leading Saturday. Then he was leading Sunday afternoon. And he just led pretty much the entire weekend. It was a really good battle between him and Brooks Koepka today. I thought it was, especially in the first 4 or 5 holes. Basically, when Mickelson hit that flop shot out of the sand, chipped in, I think it was for birdie on 5. That didn't seal the deal totally, but it definitely helped his chances of winning. And I mean, I thought he putted really well today. His driving was not great. He could definitely drive a bit better, but his wedge game was really good. His iron game was really good. I thought his putting was good, and he won. He won. I think it was 7 under was his final score, maybe 6 under. He had at least 2 strokes over the next closest guy, which I think in the end was Koepka, because Louis Oosthuizen was putting up a bit of a fight. And both Koepka and Oosthuizen had really good weekends too. Like, this isn't meant to take away from anything they did. I thought they had really good weekends as well. Koepka struggled on Sunday, though. That was probably the toughest thing, was that he finished 3 over 4 over on Sunday, and you're not going to win a tournament if you're 3 or 4 over on the final day. So, I mean, and that happens. I mean, Koepka's a young golfer. He's going to get better. He's going to improve. But for Phil, this was an awesome weekend. He was in control from beginning to end. He was sensational, extremely fun to watch. I thought he was the complete package of what you wanted out of a golfer. He was smart. He was strategic, and he was fun. He, for the most part, he was giving thumbs up all weekend. He was chatting with fans. He was having fun for the most part, for trying to have fun on a major championship weekend. I thought he was having about as much fun as you can without getting too involved or having too much fun. The right amount. I want to talk about the PGA Championship. So last year, in 2020, I believe it was in August, was the 2020 PGA Championship when Colin Morikawa won at Harding Park in San Francisco. He had a fantastic weekend then, and the interesting part about 2020 compared to 2021 was that, there was no fans in San Francisco. No fans were allowed at the course. And, of course, this weekend in South Carolina, there was supposedly about 10,000 fans a day. I think is what it came out to, was 10,000 fans per day were allowed at the tournament. And, that was what made this weekend so special for Phil. And what was kind of disappointing for Morikawa last year was that there was no fans to celebrate his victory, to hype up the win. This weekend, there was a bunch of fans. You could tell, again, when he was trying to go to his ball on the 18th green, Mickelson, that is, he was just swarmed by people. And that was great. That's awesome. That's what sports are all about, is having the fans, having the fan interaction, the engagement. And I thought that was awesome for this weekend for the PGA Championship. The PGA Championship is probably the least popular out of the 4 major championships: the Masters, US Open, the Open, British Open, PGA Championship. I think the PGA Championship is a really fun championship. I think it's incredibly fun to watch. It doesn't have the same challenges that the Masters does, or the U.S. Open necessarily, or even the Open Championship when it's in the UK. It can be a really fun tournament too, and this brings back the whole thing of having sports back, having big tournaments, and having fans in attendance. It'll start to happen a bit more as we're normalizing. In a lot of the NHL and NBA playoffs, we're seeing fans. The UFC has had a couple of events with fans in attendance, most notably their 15,000 sellout crowd event in Jacksonville maybe a month ago. And the point is that I thought the PGA Championship was great because of all the factors that make sports great. And now that we're seeing more and more events open up, places open up, hopefully we see more of that. And hopefully people, I don't know that the PGA Championship will ever be as big as the other majors, but hopefully people who watch today are now going to watch next year's PGA Championship because they remember Lefty winning it all and how fun that was. Let me talk about the South Carolina for a second. So Kiowa, I believe Kiowa Island was the location for this weekend's tournament, and it was phenomenal. Beautiful looking course, um, beautiful location. I thought the holes were great. I thought the course was great. I thought it was um, not overly difficult, but they had some challenges and they had some rough spots here and there. But for the most part, it was manageable for the golfers to either get pars, even some birdies, and I hope that the PGA, and it probably will. I don't know what events they have upcoming, but I just thought this weekend's event was also sensational because of the location. That's what makes these tournaments great. Is going to new places or going to fancy places, but even sometimes like last year, going to public courses at Harding Park in San Francisco. That's also really cool and something that the PGA probably should consider more. I mean, here's the thing: there's 1,000 golf courses for the U.S. Open, for the British Open, for PGA Championship to consider every time they host a tournament. And I mean, I I can't be upset, even though I'm a West Coast person. Pacific Northwest, I should say Pacific Northwest, where we don't host a lot of tournaments up here. Um, seeing that location, the sand, the beaches, the water, the weather, perfect weekend in South Carolina. I don't think you could have asked for much better weather, a much better scene for Phil to win his possibly last major championship on. And finally, I want to talk about golf. So, golf is in a weird flux right now where obviously you have the old guys like Tiger who have been performing well when they've been playing. Phil is a major champion. Who would have thought that coming into this year? That would have been, if you told me coming into this year that Phil Mickelson would be winning a major, I just would have probably high fived you and shotgun a beer because I would have been so stoked, so ecstatic because that's a great story. And all of these are great stories. Like when Tiger won the Masters 2 years ago, that was a great story. That was an awesome story. Phil winning it this year is a great story. We saw it today. Louis Oosthuizen was competitive. Paul Casey was competitive. Padraig Harrington, all three of those guys were, I think, one under or better. They were in the top 10. Um, Now that could be that this week it's just a fluke and we shouldn't read into it more. But it's interesting with golf where you have the young guns like the Brysons, the Kepkas. I can't even say DJ and Spieth are not the young guns anymore, but you have the young popular golfers who are coming up in the PGA. Morikawa is another guy who you just have these young, talented, fantastic golfers who are bringing in a new demographic, tapping into a new market with younger people, like people myself, and they're struggling to win because they're losing to Tiger and Phil, and they're dealing with the Paul Caseys and the Padraig Harringtons and the Louis Oosthuizens, and the Lee Westwood is another guy who came up, I think, pretty recently in a tournament. Like, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm saying that all competition is good competition most of the time. But I'm interested to see where golf goes from here for the rest of the year, because we still have the U.S. Open next month in Torrey Pines. This year, the British Open, the Open Championship, is in Liverpool. I think Royal Liverpool. I could be wrong, and that's in July. And I think that's what makes, or at least for myself as a sports fan and someone who likes storylines and someone who wants to write about storylines and talk about them, that's what makes this, PGA Championship so intriguing. Is the fact that Phil, out of nowhere, who I think was 300 to 1 odds to win this weekend, comes out of nowhere, wins the title, and kind of just throws a wrench in a lot of people's plans. I like to know what the TV ratings were, because obviously Tiger and Phil obviously still draw crowds. You saw it today in South Carolina, how many people were watching, how many people were there in person, just ecstatic, filming, the fact that Phil is winning another major. But that's what I'm very intrigued to see with golf, is where they go from here and how it all transpires, especially the rest of the year. It's going to be really exciting. I don't know what the Olympics are going to look like with golf and how that's going to go, but that's another tournament to keep in mind. But golf is going to be really exciting. It's really fascinating. And never even mind like the betting part of it or the gambling part of it, which you can do that. That's fine. I guess that's none of my business. But I don't know. I'm just as somebody who likes golf, as someone who enjoys watching golf, who enjoys storylines and athletes and people. I'm really excited to see what happens in the next couple of months here in the golf world. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. We'll be talking about this, I'm sure, on the podcast this week. So be sure to tune into the Speak Your Piece podcast. You can find that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iTunes. The full video will be up on a YouTube channel. So be sure to look out for that Wednesday. It'll come out Wednesday. So that's going to be really exciting. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to tell your friends. Peace out.